It's time for Best of 2022. We get a rap all the time of, oh, you guys hate everything. Why are you even film critics? Which means you're not paying attention, because we like a lot of stuff. And in fact, we liked 10 movies so much that we put them on our list. Actually, probably more about 18, because we did not have a lot of overlaps this year. But there's lots we liked, and these were our absolute favorites.
There is indeed, yeah. And so I liked so much that I did not want to have to choose a number one. I often in years past, I have ranked my best of and picked like a top movie of the year. I'm just like, you know what? Who says I have to do it that way? So I did it alphabetically. I like the alphabet this year.
I did a ranking because I always feel like I gotta, and I know there are some websites where they compile this stuff where they weight the votes and stuff. So, but I did do something like 40 runners up. So I'm cheating too.
That's totally cheating. You got like 50 picks.
I just wanted to say these were all movies that you can go read these on the Wrap with my top 10 list. They were like movies I'm glad I saw this year. And especially because I keep hearing people go, oh, 2022, not a very good year for movies. I'm like, really?
Every year people say that.
What did you go see? Come on.
Every year people were like, this was a terrible year for film and whatever. All right. So I'm going to do mine alphabetically. I'm going to just go through them and we can chat a bit.
Okay.
After Yang.
Yes, great.
Beautiful, dreamlike, manages to be like grounded and emotional, but also ethereal. I just love Coconata in general. I love Colin Farrell in this, one of many great Colin Farrell performances this year. After Sun.
Gorgeous, yes.
Yes, which is the winner of our editing award at our LA Film Critics Awards. Is just mesmerizing in terms of like memory and like what actually happened and what do you fill in as you get older.
And a great debut feature, I want to point out, from Charlotte Wells. For
sure. The Banshees of Inisherin, while we're in Colin Farrell land here. This actually might be my favorite movie of the year. This could be. If I were like pressed to pick one, this might be it. I love the performances, the specificity of the language, just like the tactile nature of the surroundings. It's just, it feels like he like laser zoned in on exactly what he wanted to achieve here with telling the story. Decision to Leave is a movie I think about so much. I get to do another Q&A with Park Chan-wook tomorrow night. I'm so pumped. Like, I love talking to him. It's just gorgeous and surprisingly funny and devastating at the end.
Great noir kind of sensibility to it. Yeah,
totally. Love the costume design and the production design. It's just gorgeous in every way. EO.
That's also on my list.
So great. Okay, we'll talk about EO for a second then. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So this is Jerzy Skolomovsky's kind of play on Robert Bresson's O Hazard Balthazar. Io is a donkey, and Io is liberated from the circus, where Io is very happy at the beginning of the movie, and then sort of goes through this journey of ups and downs and good people and bad people, and perseveres through it all. And it's of all the movies that I've seen in recent years that really try to put us into the POV of animals and how they get through the world, I feel like this one is the best.
Yeah, it's just full of surprises. Like, it's totally unsentimental and yet deeply moving at the same time. Like, and the cinematography is gorgeous. This is the winner of our cinematography and best film not in English language at our LA Film Critics Awards. So EO, a must see on the screen. I love the score too. Fire of Love.
Need to see it.
A documentary that you are going to love, that I have wanted to talk about for like literally 6 months. It came out in July and we just never got to it. And now it's streaming on Disney Plus. So perhaps in these like depressing, sad early days of January, we can find some time to catch up with it, because it is so alive and thrilling and romantic. These two French volcano hunters, like volcanologists. They're in love with each other and volcanoes, and the imagery is so alive and frightening and thrilling, and Miranda July narrates it in a way that is really understated, which is a fascinating contrast with the extreme nature of the images that we're seeing. It's just a total original Fire of Love. Speaking of originals, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Totally unlike anything else I've ever seen. I know you didn't love it.
I liked it a lot. I should love it.
I loved it. I loved it from a production design standpoint, from Jenny Slate's voiceover work, just the amount of work that went into the art design, every little detail, the amount that went into the stop motion animation of the little shell. It could have been cloying and mawkish with the little, observations about life, but they're really funny and weird. And I was just surprised and moved the whole way through. Pearl.
Yes.
Oh, hail me a God. I know it's hard to separate Pearl and X, but I just picked Pearl. They definitely need to both be seen. An incredible performance. And the kind of thing that like the Oscars don't acknowledge, but it's like some of the best work of the entire year because she just goes for it.
Yeah.
And it's technically so much range she's called upon to show between like that long monologue at the table where she explains everything to just the wild playfulness of the violence to that last shot of holding that creepy smile. Anyway, incredible work.
Our friend Bibbs just did a piece for The Wrap about like horror movies that should be remembered during award season. He waxed eloquently about how great Mia Goth's performance is. I absolutely agree.
Indeed. RRR, which I know you also have.
My number one.
We'll go off on that now then. Let's do it.
Sure. To quote Bibbs, he had a great tweet this year where he said that sometimes there are movies that are so much movie that they barely feel like they're going to fit inside one movie. And this year we had two of them, and they're my top two films of this year, RRR at number one and Everything Everywhere All at Once at number two. And both of them just kind of felt like I was retraining my brain of how to watch movies and what movies could do. And, for someone as old and jaded as myself, that is not a phenomenon I encounter very often. But it's a breathtaking piece of work. If you can see it projected, I highly recommend you do so.
Yeah, just wild and surprising and ambitious. And it makes these tonal swings that would seem like clunky and ungainly, and somehow it all manages to work together. I had so much fun. The 3 hours just breezed by.
Yeah.
So a really great discovery. And we've learned so much about Indian cinema, from Telugu cinema in particular, from this film. And then finally, Tar. It's probably the best work of Cate Blanchett's career, which is saying something. And I just love the script is so complicated, and yet it has such like fundamental truths about human nature and getting older and feeling irrelevant and being a woman in a male dominated world. And it just keeps you guessing the whole way through. I love the sound design. So just a tremendous film.
Yeah, since we watched it, I've kind of I looked at it again, and I'm starting to sort of lean towards the school of finding this movie to be kind of campy. But I think that that's a valid read, and I think that doesn't make it any less interesting or any less deep. It's just that this is a movie that is throwing you this extreme character in a world where everyone else is also kind of extreme in their own way, in terms of there's no, like, everyone's kind of terrible here. whether the people that she's awful to are also awful in their own different way. And so, but I think there's a lot to glean here, and I think it's a movie we're going to be revisiting and rediscussing for years to come.
Yep. So go. What is your list?
So mine was a ranked list. At number 10, I have Benediction, which is a film I hope you can watch at some point.
I've still never seen it. Yeah,
it's Terrence Davis's biopic about Siegfried Sassoon, who was a poet during World War I. Jack Lowden plays Sassoon during the early part of the century, where he survives the war and becomes involved with sort of the bright young things, including people like Ivor Novello, and then also later in the 60s as an older, regretful, closeted Catholic played by Peter Capaldi. It's a beautiful, haunting film. If you've seen, Terrence Davis's, work, especially his film about Emily Dickinson a few years ago with Cynthia Nixon, he really creates a kind of screen poetry in terms of capturing these lives in a way that feels true to the authors that he's celebrating. At number 9 is Bros, because I just think it's a brilliant romantic comedy. It's so easy to be like, oh, well, we want a gay rom-com, so just take this straight rom-com and change half of the pronouns. But this movie, I think, is so specific about who these characters are as a result of having grown up gay in this society, and how they've been treated, and what messages they were told about masculinity and about, relationships and all that stuff. And so I think it anchors it in a real specificity while also being really funny. And so I thought it was really great. My number 8 is All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. That's the documentary on my list about artist Nan Goldin and her crusade to get museums and universities to stop accepting money and promoting the name of the Sackler family, the people behind the pharmaceutical company that gave us OxyContin and, in turn, the opioid crisis as we know it. So it's a film about that political fight, but also about Goldin's life and her own struggles with chemical dependency, and how much her current activism is very much inspired by what ACT UP was doing in the 80s. So I think it's a really, really powerful film from Laura Poitras. My number 7 is Sarah Polley's Women Talking, which is a movie that sounds like it would just feel like a filmed play. It's mostly set inside of a barn, and it's mostly conversational. And yet she and her cinematographer find so many ways to bring that space alive. And the performances are all so great uniformly across the board. I'm a huge fan of the work that Judith Ivey and Sheila McCarthy are doing here. But if you prefer, what Jessie Buckley is doing, or what Rooney Mara or even Ben Whishaw is doing, you would not be wrong. There's a lot going on here, and it's really great. P.S. If you haven't read Sarah Polley's book of essays that came out in 2022, Run Towards the Danger, I highly recommend it. My number 6 is Richard Linklater's Apollo 10.5, A Space-Age Childhood. We got a lot of movies this year about filmmakers looking back at their youth. Armageddon Time, The Fabelmans, the Cathedral, quite a few of them. This one really landed with me, and I think it really captures this moment of, I think the space age childhood part is key. It captures this moment of optimism, this idea that like science, like technology is going to fix the future, and we're going to walk on the moon, and then after that we're going to do all these other amazing things, and we're going to live at the bottom of the sea, and all these, we're all going to have jetpacks, whatever the hell, and sort of what happened to that future, but also just about the specifics about growing up in that time and place that Linklater captures so beautifully, the way that he always does.
I love the look of it too. I love the rotoscoping of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think for me, it was a lot more effective than the previous rotoscoping that Linklater's done in some other films. EO was my number 5. At number 4 was Jafar Panahi's No Bears, which I hope we can talk about. It's opening in LA next week.
Next week, yeah.
Panahi, of course, forbidden officially by the Iranian government to make movies, but still doing it. And this is he's playing a version of himself. He's kind of hiding out in a small town, gets involved in some local rivalries, and of course draws the attention of the authorities because this town happens to be near the border, which pairs it beautifully with my number 3 movie, his son Panahi's directorial debut, Hit the Road, which is about a family making their way toward the border for reasons that become explained as the films go along. The two Panahis are stylistically completely different. Panahi, is the kind of filmmaker that can get away with having dialogue about Kubrick and then aping Kubrick in specific shots of the film. And it's breathtaking, and right up there with After Sun, I think is among the great directorial debuts of 2022. And then again, my top 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once and RRR.
That is great. I like all those. Yeah. Hit the Road, I like a lot too. It's a great kid performance.
Yes.
Because he would seem totally obnoxious and annoying, but he's not. He's like adorable and hilarious, and he has great presence and comic timing. Yeah. There's a shot at the beginning of Hit the Road where it's like a 360 shot inside of a car.
Yeah.
And it's not like a show-offy thing, like, haha, look what I can do. It's like, it tells a whole story.
It's capturing
of who
a thing,
they are, what they're doing in the car. And I was like, oh, like we're coming out swinging.
Yeah.
At the very beginning here. That was very impressive.
And then there's a scene towards the end of the film that is like crucially important dialogue, and it's all being shot at a very, very far distance.
So far away.
And so like the characters are specks, but the way that they move in the frame and what they're saying and what the context of what's happening is, exactly what's going on and why it all matters. And it's like, I'm so impressed with how confidently this guy's coming out of the gate, Nepo baby or not, that, this is absolutely one of the best films of the year. It is now, out there in the world streaming. It's on DVD. Please check it out. Hit the Road. It's so great.
These are our favorites of the year. What are yours? Let us know. So it's pouring rain in LA today. Can't go for a run like I would ordinarily, but I can still get a workout in thanks to my awesome Carol bike. I'm loving it. It's so fun, and part of what is so fun about it is it has a very cheeky sense of humor. Kind of tells you how you're doing and inspires you in unexpected ways. So I'm enjoying all that about it. Oh, here it comes. Oh God, the sprint is coming. It's super easy at first, and then it gets harder, but it's only 10 seconds and then it's done. Well done, I survived. The thing just told me that I survived. You're out of danger, it says. So thank God, I was worried. My kid can sit here and watch Glass Onion again for the 18th time.
Second.
I don't have time for that. I gotta go get a workout in. We have a code down below for you, breakfast all day. If you get a Carol bike through our link below, it is $250 off before January 31st. After that, it's $100 off. Still, totally worth it. I'm loving this. It is sturdy. It has a wide variety of different workouts available to you. Check them out. Carol Bike.